Welcome everyone, I'm Steve Stewart. Thanks for joining me as I visit the cemeteries, graves, memorials, and final resting places of the famous people who have touched our lives. They may be gone, but they're not forgotten. Hi friends, I'm here today at the Greenwood Memorial Park Cemetery. I think you can see the sign behind me there. It's in San Diego, California, and I'm here today to try to find a number of famous final resting places. You can see it's pretty sunny. I've been waiting to come to San Diego until it was a sunny day. I think I finally got one. It's still a little bit overcast. There's a little bit of fog rolling in from the ocean, but overall it's a pretty beautiful day. And looks like it's a pretty beautiful cemetery. It looks fairly large as well. So hopefully I can find one or two or three of the people that I'm here to find today. Just looking for a little shade here. Maybe I'll stand here in the, oh yeah, that's better. Now I used to live here in San Diego back in the early 1970s. I went to college here for 1 year. And then I transferred back to Los Angeles where I finished out my college degree up at Cal State LA. But I was here going to Cal State San Diego for a year back in the early 1970s. And it was really one of the best years of my life. Looking back on it, had so much fun, did so many interesting things, have so many really good memories of that time. And I've hardly been back to San Diego since I lived here, so I'm really happy to be back today. And I was just thinking how crazy it is that I used to live, not really that far from any of these cemeteries. And when I was living here going to college, never once visited a cemetery. And even though I've been visiting cemeteries my entire life, especially when I go on vacation, it seems like when I was growing up, wherever I lived, I never really thought to visit the cemeteries that were just down the street. So, go figure. I only would go to the cemeteries when I would, travel overseas or go, travel around the country, but it never really occurred to me to visit the cemeteries, nearby. So now I'm making up for lost time and visiting all those cemeteries that I never visited back then. So anyway, let's go see who we can find. As you can see from the sign there, it's almost Father's Day, and that's one of the things I like about cemeteries these days, is that they celebrate most of the holidays and they have special events throughout the year. So you can come not just for funeral services and for sad occasions. I mean, they have all kinds of really fun, interesting things to do at the cemeteries. And one thing I've noticed, and maybe you have too if you've visited cemeteries like I do, if you come on Mother's Day, it's just a madhouse. No matter what cemetery you go to, they're all really, really busy. Now, I don't know if I've ever been to a cemetery on Father's Day. Let's see if you can see a plane. You see the plane there? I don't know, I can't really tell. I'm guessing it's probably not as busy as Mother's Day. That's probably what they have to advertise for. I don't think they have to advertise for Mother's Day. But anyway, if you visit a cemetery, this cemetery or any other cemetery on Father's Day, let me know what it's like. I'd be curious to know. I'm guessing I'll probably be at a cemetery on Father's Day. Probably not this one. I don't know if I'll be back in San Diego for a while. So let's go see who we can find. As a kid, one of my favorite movies was The Wizard of Oz, and it still is today. So when I heard that two of the Munchkins are buried here in the Greenwood Cemetery, I had to stop by for a visit. So that's where I'm heading to first. Some of you have said that you really like it when I drive through the cemeteries so you can get more of an idea of what many of these memorial parks look like. Now, if you're not that interested in the drive and the scenery, you can just fast forward until I get to the famous final resting places that you're interested in. While this isn't a super large cemetery, it's not a small cemetery either. It's somewhere in between, but the layout of the streets is more like a maze. Many of the cemeteries have one large circular loop that goes from the front gate, and then there are other roads that weave in and out. But this particular cemetery just seems to be random. So random streets just going in all different directions does make it a little bit more beautiful and interesting to look at. But it's not the easiest place to find your way around. They do have a lot of signs, though, a lot of exit signs to help you find your way out once you're in. The cemetery has 3 mausoleums: the Bible Mausoleum, the Cathedral Mausoleum, and the Shalom Mausoleum. While Johnny Maroldo is probably best remembered now for being one of the Munchkins on The Wizard of Oz, early in his career, he was known as Johnny Winter's champion Charleston dancer. In the 1930s, he married Little Marie Bernadette. She was an actress, singer, and a vaudeville performer. Both of them appeared in the 1938 movie The Terror of Tiny Town, and in 1939, the movie The Wizard of Oz. Their crypts are located in the Cathedral Mausoleum Sanctuary of Dawn. As you can see, I went through the Rose Courtyard to get here. I visited L. Frank Baum's gravesite a year or two ago at Forest Lawn Memorial Park in Glendale, California. For those of you who don't know, he wrote the book, The Wonderful Wizard of Oz, that was made into the movie. He wrote 14 sequels to the book and was a lot like the J.K. Rowling of his time. But that's another story and another cemetery visit. I also visited Toto's Memorial and Judy Garland's crypt at the Hollywood Forever Cemetery in Hollywood, California. But these are the first 2 Munchkins that I visited, so I'm pretty happy today. I mean, who doesn't love the Munchkins? Now I'm going to continue around to the other side of this mausoleum. Just a little bit to the west is the Shalom Mausoleum, where I'm going to visit the final resting place of Solomon or Saul Price. He wasn't famous for being a movie star or a singer or a dancer or an entertainer. Instead, he's famous for being an entrepreneur and a pioneer of retail shopping. If you remember FedMart or the Price Club, or if you've ever shopped at Costco or Walmart, then in many ways you have Saul Price to thank for all the discounts and the money you've saved over the years. Saul came up with the concept of members-only discount warehouse stores. In the 1990s, the Price Club merged with Costco, and Costco is now one of the most popular retail chains of its type with stores all over the world. So I'm going to head into the mausoleum where Saul Price is interred, which is the second corridor on your left. At the end of the corridor, you'll see an impressive stained glass window. It's a smaller mausoleum, as you can see, which is well marked, making it easy to find Price's crypt, which you'll see here on the left-hand side, on the bottom row. And while you're here, take a look around. There are many other interesting things to see here as well. Now, just down the road, a short distance, and across the street is the American Legion section. And this is where we'll find the final resting place of Walter E. Bystrom. According to a couple of different sources, Bystrom appeared in a number of silent films, including a few of the Keystone Kop comedies in uncredited roles, which, from what I've read, was pretty common, especially back in the early days of cinema. Coy Watson Jr., who is known to many as the Keystone Kid, because he appeared in so many Keystone movies, said that he was cast in these movies just because he lived next door to the studio, and the directors just happened to see him hanging around. So I don't know how many of you remember the Keystone Kops. If you've never seen them, you can Google them, or you can search for them on YouTube. And they were one of the very first silent film comedies. Now, right next to the American Legion section is the Post-5 Royal Canadian Legion section. I have to say that this Canadian flag is the first one I've ever seen in a U.S. cemetery. I looked it up online to see if I could find out more information about the memorial, but I wasn't able to discover any other information. So if any of you know, please share in the comment section down below. I'd love to know why this is here. That's one of the things I really enjoy about cemeteries, is that I always learn so much. There are just so many interesting memorials and interesting stories that you might never know if you didn't visit a cemetery. Next, I'm going to continue south to the final resting place of actor Victor Buono. Buono had a very distinctive and memorable look and appeared in many movies during his career, but he's probably best remembered for his role in the 1960s TV series Batman. He played the villain King Tut in a recurring role. I read online that he was laid to rest here in the Lily Lake crypt section in his mother's crypt, but I searched every single crypt here and I just couldn't find him or his mother. So I don't know if they were disinterred, or maybe I just missed the crypt, or maybe the name is no longer on the crypt. It's hard to say, but if any of you know, please again let me know. I wasn't able to find Victor Buono's crypt, but I thought you might enjoy seeing this section of the cemetery anyway. It's very beautiful. It's one of the largest lily ponds I've ever seen, and even though I've seen lots of critters over the years in cemeteries, I think this is the first time I've ever seen turtles. So this is for all of you turtle lovers. And isn't this a beautiful waterfall and creek? It's so inviting that they had to put up a sign saying no swimming or fishing. You'd hardly know that you're in a cemetery. Right next to the lily pond is the crypt of Joseph Francis Cunningham and Andrea Heller Cunningham. I wasn't able to find out any information about who they are or were, but I was really taken by the quotes that they have engraved on the side of their crypt. They must have been very fun and interesting people. And I love these quotes. In this same section, you see the flagpole there and the memorial to San Diego firefighters. And right across the street from this section are some of the most beautiful private mausoleums that I've ever seen. Unfortunately, I looked, but I wasn't able to find or track down any information about the individuals who were buried in these family crypts and mausoleums. So again, if you know, please share. Next to these family mausoleums is a statue garden area that I thought you might like to see. From here, I'm going to take the road that meanders in lots of different directions, but eventually it's going to take me back to the newer section, at least it appears to be a newer section, which is just to the right of the entry gates. Now, if you're not that interested in the drive and the scenery, you can just fast forward. There's so many interesting sections to this cemetery that you really could spend an entire day or more here, just exploring or trying to find the final resting places of people you might be interested in visiting. There were at least a half a dozen other people that I would have liked to have found today, but in my limited couple of hours here, I just wasn't able to. So I'll list their names down below this video in case any of you might know where they're located. And if you do, and if you wouldn't mind sharing, then the next time I come to the cemetery, I'll stop by and visit. It may seem like we're driving endlessly in circles, but I am heading east to what seems to be the newer section just to the right of the entry gates. There are fewer headstones in this section and a lot more flat gravestones. So we are almost there. Because of the flag, I was assuming that this was a veterans memorial, but I wasn't able to locate a plaque or marker or anything indicating what type of memorial structure this might be. So it's possible that it might just be an architectural piece of artwork and a very impressive water feature. Cemeteries do seem to have some of the best water features that you'll find just about anywhere. And just below this section is a gazebo or pagoda-like structure where you'll find a Buddha statue and a place to burn incense. Throughout this cemetery, there seems to be an endless variety of memorials and grave sites. Cemeteries really don't have to be cold and sterile places. They can be very inviting places to visit. So as always, thanks for joining me today. And if you enjoyed this video, please leave a comment down below in the comment section and let me know what you thought. And if you have any questions, definitely leave your questions. I love hearing from everyone. And if you do like this video, share it with a friend on social media. As you can see, I definitely need more views. Not many people are watching my channel, which is not a big surprise. You know, an old guy visiting cemeteries is not probably everyone's cup of tea. But for those of you who do enjoy visiting cemeteries, I enjoy showing them to you. I'm going to turn around here. I don't know if you'll be able to see this mausoleum. It's a very beautiful building. Oh, and don't forget to subscribe. And I'll see you next time.